Hi everyone, this is Elizabeth at craftsbyhappystamper.com. Thanks for joining me today for the One Stamp at a Time Christmas in July blog hop. This is the project I'm featuring on the blog hop, and I also have a coordinating card that's in a separate video. You can click on the description below in order to follow along on the hop, but let's go ahead and get started on this cute treat bag. So first I started with some craft cardstock, and I cut it down to 6 1/4, which fits both these pieces. It's 12 by 12 cardstock, so I cut it down to 6 1/4 by 12, and obviously I'll have extra left over when I run it through my Big Shot machine. But that's the first piece, and then this is the second piece that you can see. I love this craft cardstock. It's pretty thick, so you're going to get a very sturdy treat bag out of it, and I'm going to be using this Dots for Days stamp set, background stamp, in order to give it some added pizzazz, some Christmas snowflakes, I think it looks like. So I'm using some Stays On ink, and the only reason why I'm using Stays On is because I use this with a coordinating card, so it will match perfectly. So I'm just inking up the entire background stamp with white Stays On ink, and now I'm going to put the first large panel of the treat bag, and I'm just using some scrap computer paper to rub it down really good, make sure I get a nice transfer all along on the entire side of it, and you can see that it transferred perfectly. And I'm going to ink it up again in order to do the second piece. And with the Stays On ink, you really do need to move somewhat quickly, especially you can tell that I've got my window AC unit blowing on my work area, so that helps it dry even faster, but it does dry pretty quickly. So that's the second piece, and it's done, and it's probably already completely dry right after I pull it off. So this mini treats bag Thinlit dies that you can get from Stampin' Up! Make the score marks, so you don't have to worry about anything like that, and no measuring needed. And I'm just using score tape, but Stampin' Up! Sells the same thing. They call it like tear tape adhesive, and I'm using it. It's a very strong adhesive, so I don't have to worry about the bag coming apart, especially with this thick cardstock. And I'm just attaching the smaller panel to the larger panel, and then it will close in the middle, and I'll fold up the bottom. Now some people like to put tape on, the bottom, fold the bottom piece up first. It's up to you. I just did the flaps first. Doesn't matter which side you put it on. Either side will overlap, especially since I stamped both of the sides completely. It really doesn't matter which side. And then I could fold up the bottom, and you could see it like poofs out just a little bit so that you have space for something inside. It's a cute little treat bag. And now we're going to make a coordinating tag for this. So I'm using the Cucumber Crush cardstock. It's 2 inches wide, and it fits into this rounded ornamental tag punch that is a carryover from the holiday catalog. It's in the annual catalog now. And I cut a 2-inch strip of that. And now this is a 2-inch strip of Nina Solar White cardstock. Because I'm going to be coloring on it, I'm not using the Whisper White cardstock. I'm using some traditional alcohol ink cardstock, and I punched it the exact same way I did. All the dimensions, by the way, are on my blog, so if you didn't catch them the first time I said it, then don't worry about it, just click on the link. So now I'm stamping this cute little deer from the Made with Love stamp set. It actually says Little Deer at the bottom right, but I put tape over it, post-it tape over it, so that I wouldn't stamp that at the same time, because I just wanted the deer for a Christmassy theme. And I'm using the Bohemian Borders stamp set so that I can put some coordinating Cucumber Crush a border along the top as well as the bottom. But you can see here I'm using Cucumber Crush, and I just think it gives it a little something extra to add a little border up there. And I'm using Real Red ink in order to stamp the sentiment, which is Happy Wonderful Christmas, which is from the Wondrous Wreaths stamp set that also carried over from the annual catalog. And below that I'm going to do another line. So I just did it on top of some extra computer paper, and then I cut it down to the size, and I ended up cutting it to 4 1/4 inches, both pieces. And I'm going to use my Project Life corner rounder in order to round the corners here, which is the same as a 1/4 inch rounder if you don't have the Project Life corner rounder. And you could see that. So now I'm starting the coloring with Copics, and I started with R20 in order to do the nose and the inside of the ear, and then I'm just using a traditional color family in order to color the deer. I started with the E33, and then I moved to E35 E37 and E39. And I saturated the paper with the E33 first in order for the other three colors to blend really simplistically. I actually don't have to really work at it at all to get it to blend because it is a traditional uh, color family and because the paper is saturated. Some people don't like that it bleeds through, but that's actually what you really want, and that's because uh, it prove when you saturate the paper, it's like when you're doing watercolor and you put water down and then you put a drop of ink or paint in it, and then it spreads out and blends evenly. That's exactly what you're doing with the alcohol markers when you saturate the paper first. So when you add color to the sides, it starts to blend much more easily, so you get much more smooth shading. I also used some R32 for the cheeks to give it a little bit of a pink shading there, but you can't really see much of that. And then I moved on to the bow tie, which I did in R24 and R29 and a little bit of R39 for a little bit of added uh, dimension to give it a little bit more stronger shadows there. But after I finished coloring those, I did go out of the lines a little bit, and I used my white Uniball Sigma pen from Stampin' Up! In order to cover up my mistakes. And I also used a Wink of Stella clear brush glitter pen on the bow tie so that it sparkled just a little. And you can see that's when I just went over some of the mistakes I did before, and now I'm using my Wink of Stella clear brush glitter pen in order to add a little bit of glitter. And now I'm going back in with my white gel pen to really make those white dots on the little deer stand out, so that gives it a little bit more personality, and a couple little dots on the cheeks just to make them glow, give them a rosy glow. But I love that white gel pen. I don't think you could tell really at all the mistakes that I made when I went out of the lines when you're using that. And for some reason I lost a little bit of the video, so you'll see this is the final tag on the bag, and the I used real red cardstock and cut the bow from the little treat bag out and glued that to the top of the tag, and I used Cucumber Crush 1-inch laced ribbon as well as some white Whisper White twine in order to tie the bag to the top of the treat bag. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this card. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And please click on the link in the description to get all the dimensions and to follow along on the One Stamp at a Time Christmas in July blog hop. Thanks.